heatwave sweeps parts of the country this week, climate experts say heat stress is on the rise in southern Africa. 8 people recently died of heat stroke in the Northern Cape province. Experts say children, the elderly, and those with underlying conditions are at high risk. Well, how bad are things? Let's bring in one of the researchers, Sarah Roffe from Wits University. Dr. Roffe, good afternoon. Welcome to Today on eNCA. Thank you very much for your time. When I saw the headline that says heat stress is rising in southern Africa, first question I had is, what is causing all of this? Currently, we are in the midst of a heat wave in different parts of our southern African region. What is the main cause of this heat wave?
Hi there, thanks for having me on the show. I just want to highlight that I'm actually from the Agricultural Research Council. But to answer your question, so the main driver behind our current heat wave is a really strong high pressure system that has been persisting since about the 9th of Jan. And these types of systems, they're notoriously known to cause very hot temperatures, dry conditions, and obviously they lead to heat wave conditions developing.
So for how long should we expect these conditions to last?
Well, I guess we're waiting for the high pressure system to basically to dissipate. So I guess, I don't know, we need to just check forecasts, and we're really waiting to see how long it persists. But I guess next couple of days, perhaps we might start to see some cooler conditions persisting.
Yeah. Now, when you look at the region, I mean, we are part of a region and it's pretty hot. I mean, you hear all kinds of comments about temperatures in Maputo and Harare and the rest of them. Are things getting worse?
For certain, they are getting worse. In actual fact, Southern Africa is warming quite substantially, and it's actually warming at above global average rates. So our temperatures are essentially warming faster than other places in the world. And this is obviously quite dangerous for us. This is really linked to basically where we sit in terms of our latitude.
Yeah, how hot? I mean, you say we are heating up higher than other places in the world. I mean, how hot are we becoming in degrees, for example?
So I guess it depends from location to location, but for the most part, trends are increasing by about like 2 degrees per decade. So yeah, I mean, take it from 1 year to maybe like 10 years in the future, we might see temperatures, or even towards the end of the century, we might see temperatures at least 4 degrees warmer than what we're expecting. And of course, different regions across Southern Africa are warming to different extents, but regions like the Central Plateau of South Africa and like Botswana and regions like that, they're warming quite a lot more than other regions.
Yeah, I mean, the other week, was it last week, when we were told that in Uppington, in the Northern Cape, they were going to be just about 40 degrees Celsius. And I thought, ouch, it's really getting hot. Now, I mean, when we speak about this kind of weather patterns and people, we forget that climate change is a reality. I mean, this is one good example. Or am I wrong, Doc?
No, so you cannot necessarily attribute one single heat wave event to climate change. But the fact is that climate change is increasing the temperature of these heat waves, it's increasing the frequency of these heat waves, as well as the duration of these heat waves. So either way, trends, if you look at the beginning of the century compared to now, we have seen more frequent, longer and hotter heat waves occurring in our region.
Yeah, longer and hotter. I guess that's those are the operative words there. I know we're talking about a heat wave, and it is still blary hot in Johannesburg today. But is there something in terms of what you're noticing with the temperatures in Southern Africa, something as cold stress in winter?
Yes, I mean, cold stress in winter is a given. Sometimes we can have these cold stress events that really severely impact our health. But either way, our winter during, winters across our country, they can be quite cool. And at least from our study, we found that on average conditions can be at a moderately cold stress level. So that, that can affect our health, and that is playing on us. But if we think of climate change, these cold stress events, they are expected to occur less frequently and they're expected to be less intense, but we cannot forget that they are still going to occur.
Yeah, and the heat stress is why we were talking to you. Just finally, I mean, what can be done? I mean, the deaths of the 8 farm workers in the Northern Cape because of heat wave just the other day sort of brought it all home to us to say that at risk will be the elderly and the children and also those who work outdoors like farm workers. I mean, they are exposed to these extreme hot conditions. What can be done? Do you have views on that, Dr. Roffe, just to assist the vulnerable?
Yes. So basically, the biggest thing is that when you are in hot conditions, you need to move yourself out of these heat stressed conditions to the shade, indoors, and keeping hydrated is another measure that's really important. And something that we've seen in the news recently is that the suggestion of perhaps changing work hours and adjusting them so that workers are not outside during peak heat hours. So perhaps they're working very early in the morning and later in the evening, and their break is really focused on that area when it's most hot during the day.
It sounds very sensible. Thank you very much, Dr. Sarah Roffe, for your views about the heat stress that's getting worse, not just in South Africa, I mean, but in the whole of our Southern African region. Now, let's just check out very quickly how hot or cold, if it's cold at all, in any part of the country.